it dropped by 2/3. So the key is, if the body produces what it needs, it knows what to do with it. When we give it from the outside, it's not the same. Here is another person who has some other issues. See, we are not talking about the same parameters. This person's from 9 to 103 was the vitamin C increase. His sodium was low, it stabilized. His urine, creatinine in the urine went up, and his blood pressure dropped. So each person, whatever the solution is, happened. This other person went from 9 to 68. Both systolic and diastolic pressure became normal. His bilirubin was so high, it became normal. Creatinine in the urine went up. Here's another one who had thyroid antiperoxidase. And this number is very high because this is the limit of the study. It could have been 10,000 for all I know. Thyroid TSH came down, creatinine went up. You see, red cell distribution width became normal. This is the size of the red cell. This has to be an optimal size. Otherwise, it can't carry oxygen. So what we see is average, everybody's HbA1c dropped, okay? And there are people who took, who were taking drugs. They could take our product, and the blood glucose, will normalize over time. So it works, it works in thyroidism. It also works in hyperthyroidism. The same thing works the same way. Here is a person who had hypothyroidism. It became normalized in about 4 months or so. So these are the nuclear receptor assays we have made against thyroid receptors, okay? So our product is what is called as a protein agonist. That is, it can increase something or decrease something, or it can not do anything. That's what a protein agonist does. For example, 125 can increase, certain hormones in the body, 125 vitamin. And so we did ours will do the same thing. But if it is too high, ours can bring it back to normal. Or if it is normal, it won't touch it. That's what it is. So this is exactly what it does. See, our body, the reason LDL is important is because LDL carries cholesterol to all the organ and tissues of the body. We go in the sun and make vitamin D3. Then it has to go to the liver, it makes 25 hydroxy vitamin D3. In the kidney, it makes 125. This then goes into the nucleus, binds to the nuclear receptors, and produces all the proteins we need. It could be insulin, it could be leptin, it could be thyroid hormone, whatever. So we bypass all these steps. We don't need to go into the sun to make the product. We can directly bind to the vitamin D receptor and produce whatever our body needs. And why is the vitamin D receptor important in infectious disease, for example? You see, in TB, what happens is when the bacteria invade your body, the first thing they do, they block the vitamin D receptor because they know this guy is responsible for your innate immunity. So once they block it, your immunity is no longer working. So the adaptive is not working, so they begin to multiply. And this is true of every disease. For example, HIV is deadly because HIV completely blocks the activity of the vitamin D receptor, 100%. And TB is it decreased by 3.3-fold. Borrelia is down by 50-fold, and Epstein-Barr virus is down by 32-fold. So your immunity is working only 3% of the time when you get invaded by this bacteria. So what nano does is very simple. It binds to the vitamin D receptor. So let's say this is the microbe is bound to the vitamin D receptor. Nano will go and displace that virus from the vitamin D receptor and allows the vitamin D to function, which is innate immunity. So that's simple. When you take this product, there are 242,000 gene-to-gene interactions that happen in the body. To put it in perspective, metformin, when you take metformin for diabetes, you get 880 gene-to-gene interactions. We get 242,000. And what I mean, we also have 4,700 feedback loops. This is what is called a feedback loop, which most drugs don't have a feedback loop. Like if you take insulin today, injection, it knows only how to lower sugar. It doesn't know beyond that. So here you get a signal and you get a terminal output. If it is more or less, that signal is sent back. And this can go up or go down or remain the same. This is the gene-gene interaction. We have mapped 242,000 genes. We have also compared this, as Richard referred to, how it produces a human genome. We have looked at the human genome. These are all the biological processes, the colored wheels. And this is our product in the same cell. You can see it's very similar. So what is happening is when you take this product, it goes and compares itself with the human genome. And whatever is missing is put in. Whatever is extra is removed. If it is the same. And so we did, that's how it usually happens. So I'm going to leave it at that and open the floor to questions, which is that, see, this is the neuron. And these areas where the synaptic transmission happens, these are the dendritic spines between one neuron and the other neuron. And there is a gene called CAMKV, which is responsible for building all these networks, without which it doesn't happen. And why is that important? Because dendritic spine dysfunction is responsible in all these neurological diseases. And what we found in our work was this gene in the brain increases at least an average of 6,000 to 1,000-fold. So it is just building all the networks. And the other one that I wanted to say was we have already published this work. People use this product called gabapentin. I'm sure you people know. Our product is about 500 to 3,000 times more potent than gabapentin. And gabapentin is used in a lot of neurological diseases. So with that, I'll open the floor for questioning, whatever questions you have.
That Raghu has basically turned the paradigm of approaching health upside down. The focus of not just allopathic medicine, but in fact, alternative approaches to health has been focused on the biology. This focuses on the lipid envelope. You know, medicine and so on has tended to focus on what the biology is doing, when the real control system is actually in the lipid, that envelope that encases our biology, and more particularly a little particle that's a lipid that actually steps inside the cell and regulates it. This has not been understood. So it gives you a way of beginning to grasp what he's done. It's truly profound in its impact.
This is food we eat every day. So you would have had contraindications to it too. If you had it before, if you're eating grapes, you're eating broccoli, you're eating pasta, you're eating bread, rice, it's already there, millet. So it's part of our body. It's like water. What are the contraindications of water?
Betsy, go ahead, please.
And then Mark, formal large studies on mental illness.
Just found out recently, we know that it is working, but formal studies we haven't done, and any of you want to do it, we're most welcome, because it's a safe product. You can give it to anybody. We got interested only recently. This was the last frontier for me, because we had a person who wrote to us and said, his sister had bipolar disorder, and after 3 days it was gone. That got a thing going. We have had a few reports of ADHD kids improving, and people with Alzheimer's responding a little more. So we haven't gone there yet, but now we needed the proof. And I know that all the genes that are generated in the we found that, like, for example, 37% of the genes that are produced by nano are also present in the brain. So we knew it plays a big part. That is the largest number of genes we found was in the brain in our cell studies. We just started on it, but we have the proof now that all the genes are being produced, which can produce neurons in the body. So that explains a lot of people why, Parkinson's can be cured, My mother had Parkinson's, down 90%, now she's 95. So we know all these things. So most of the time what we do is we have people reporting to us of all the things that happened to them. And after that, we go back and do the cell studies, the reverse of what the pharma does. Yeah, we are most welcome. We will definitely support you. We have all the data for it. I know all the genes that are involved in dopamine or serotonin or whatever. We have the network with the microRNAs. We can go to the minutest detail and correlate it with any of the clinical data you may get.
That's exciting. Thank you.
Does it matter when you take it? Like, is it okay to take it with food? It doesn't. Okay, you can take it anytime you want, regardless of the food, drink, anything.
All you have to do is the minute it hits the tongue, it's absorbed into the cells, because the cells in our tongue have nuclear receptors. All cells have nuclear receptors. Immediately it picks it up. It doesn't even get to the stomach or digestive system or whatever. No way.
Okay, thank you.
First question is more personal, where I recognized, and I had a mental health thing, and I went on the nutrient protocol, and I've been taking, it's well over a year, like 12 or 14 months or so. And what I found about 6 months ago is I just was intuitively guided to cut all the vitamins I was taking in half. It just felt like too much. I would feel nauseous if I took them all. And I'm curious if you've heard of, or what's your take on that part?
No, if you went off vitamins, you felt nauseous?
No, if I took all the vitamins that I was taking before, I felt nauseous. I was taking too many after a while on nano. And so I cut it back, and it was fine. And health, as far as I could tell, has still been good.
We have seen this across the board. You see, people don't understand that. For example, just to give you a perspective, the vitamin D that you produce in the sun is a water-soluble vitamin D. What we take as a pill is a fat-soluble vitamin D. Two different things, So if you're obese, it's not going to get into your system. That's the first thing. So whatever the body produces, in what form it is, we don't know. But it's far more effective that when you have other things come in, what you're basically doing is you're creating a traffic jam inside your body for all these nutrients to compete for the cell. And the stronger one wins out by telling you, hey, this is how it works actually. For example, I will tell you my own personal experience when I started using it. I made many copious notes about it. If ever I took more than 2 or 3 tablespoons of rice extra, this was after 6 months, I had to go and poop. So next time, my brain said, don't eat. So I stopped. This is exactly what's happening to you. For example, I have curbed the complete use of sugar. There is no addiction for sugar for me. Zero. All my alcohol, if I look at alcohol, I'm totally turned off. Totally turned off. So it curbs. If I take more than 2 pieces of chocolate, it'll give me a headache. And then what you have to do is to correlate that 3rd piece with this headache. Next time you will have the 2nd piece. It controls what you eat. It's amazing. I mean, I had breakfast in the morning, like pancake, or protein. And I had one lunch after about 8 hours. That's it for my day. But I'm not tired, because what happens is this stuff will, you are driving a car which is 20 miles an hour before you start. Now you're going at 50 miles an hour. It's telling you, hey, I don't need that much. I need less gas. So eat less. You will notice over time, you will eat less and less. And it also picks out, for me at least, I can see, I can't take potato chips because there are too many chemicals. It immediately gets it out of the system. It detoxifies me completely. If I eat in many restaurants food, I come home next day, I know I'm getting detoxified right away. So it senses, because this molecule, I believe, was the world's first molecule. It made the cell. It knows who was allowed into the cave. By the cave, I mean inside the cell. So anybody else who comes from outside is usually kicked out. That could be viruses, that could be anything that don't belong there. And that's why it's able to cleanse the system. And I see it all the time. I mean, I can eat 4 or 5 pieces of potato chips, immediately says chemicals, this, gone. It's very intuitive. It's got natural intelligence. Let's put it that way. It recognizes that some of the things in the potato chips are not natural, and it immediately detoxifies. It's very good at detoxifying. I mean, I see it some people will have it through the feces, some people will have it through urine or sweat, but it's very good at detoxifying.
You don't need any vitamin supplements or any other nutritional supplements, period.
The reason,
would you say that, Raghu?
Yeah.
Am I not misquoting you?
See, people don't understand that you get a certain disease because you're deficient, let's say, in iron. Why are you deficient in iron? Because your body, when you're eating, let's say, spinach, which contains iron, is not picking up the iron from the spinach. Why? Because you don't have the gene, the iron transporter being developed by your body. There's a gene for transport iron. And therefore, like ferritin is one of the genes. Therefore, you don't absorb the iron. But once you fix the immune system, that gene will be produced the minute you have spinach. He says, here comes iron, I pick it up. These are called nutrient sensing genes. There's a sodium transporter, glucose transporter, potassium transporter, phosphate. These are all the guys waiting for you. But if the immune system is working, it will pick it up. So it won't pick it up if you have a synthetic one.
Triggering the body to perform and function as it's designed to perform and function relative to vitamins, nutrients, food absorption. So it's making the body know what it is designed to be. It's reflecting it to it. Isn't that correct, doctor?
Correct. What it's doing is, I gave you an education 2 billion years ago. Now I come to re-certify you. I found that you have flunked the exam. So let's see if I educate you, and let's see if you pass the exam. That's exactly what's happening.
Wonderful.
The first one. The second question I had is really curious and with all the studies you've done, what are you finding in terms of the reception with the medical community? Are you seeing that there's a certain type of practitioner that really embrace this? Are you seeing a certain type reject it? What's and
I would say in the medical community, it's about a 99% rejection rate. In my pharmaceutical community, it's about 99.9% rejection rate. But what I find is the people who are looking for answers get it. See, people go to the doctor. He's not able to, they give this pill, that pill. After a few years, they start thinking, gee, why is it not working? Why am I suffering? Then when they begin to think, that's when, this product comes in and says, okay, I fixed you. Once it's fixed, it's over. So I have a great resistance from, I get disinvited to functions and calls. My paper on COVID has 1.5 years, is still not published. Every journal rejected it, even though it is more potent than anything known to man. We could have solved the COVID problem in 1 week, but that's not what meant to be. But I think the people who get it are those who are sort of knowledge of their, in tune with their body. They're not outsourcing their health. See, health is priceless, but a lot of people outsource their health. Hey, doctor, here's my health. You take care of it. They won't give you my email and password, but they will give your health away. But I find that among the people, because a lot of them are looking for answers, it's an enormous appeal. This is going to be driven by people, not by institutions. People, everybody in the world has some kind of medical problem. There is no drug for it. I mean, there was a woman in Arizona. She couldn't walk she couldn't walk bare feet on grass for 20 years. Did it in 1 day. Now, such people are the ones who will spread the word. Example I can tell you is this. We had a Russian friend in Zurich, and he used to drink vodka every day at night. You can't separate Russians from the vodka. But he always said that he took 5 sprays before he went to sleep. In the morning, he woke up without a hangover. So this we know. And we've given it to people who drink alcohol in India, some of the politicians and police. And they all complained to me after a week that they lost the taste for alcohol.
what I would call a healing crisis, which I think is just another term for what you're describing, because what your body is being triggered to do is clear everything that doesn't belong. Healing crises are not rare with natural healing modalities, as you would probably know. And we see all manner of things. Not everybody goes through it, but it's not uncommon. And so, we do suggest you to be open to it, because the body is healing itself. The body is clearing itself of stuff that doesn't belong. And so a reaction is not that rare. I'm not saying it happens to everybody or even 50% of people, but it's not uncommon to see some kind of healing response, healing crisis, if you like, not necessarily a crisis, but to use the term broadly, when people begin to use this product. And I would suggest, if you're sharing it with other people, to alert them to this. And some people misunderstanding. I would also say that it's not unusual for people to find this has some kind of taste to it when they begin to use it, whether it be, the most common is bitter. Some people describe it as soapy or like coconut. Some people even describe it as being like vomit. It's about the state of the individual's body. And as you use it over time, it's just like taking water. Yes, it's energized water, but it has no taste. And, this can take, 6 months or more in some cases to settle down. But people who don't understand what's happening here, that their body is being triggered to heal, if you will, think that it's the taste is associated with the product. It's actually not.
You comment about different protocols. In particular, if somebody is really sick, with like digestive issues and Crohn's and all that, anybody who has some type of digestion type of problem versus someone who's semi-healthy versus someone with Parkinson's?
You need to have 25,000 bottles in one day to get toxic. Very little or zero. It's only word of mouth. We talk in this, like these meetings, we have Zoom meetings, we have done quite a few, but beyond that, it's pure word of mouth. I mean, I had people last week write to me from Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea is like the little island of Indonesia that here, so it has reached some jungle somewhere,
So it communicates to people on many, many levels. There is a woman in the US who contacted me, and she said, when I was 12, I had a vision of running water, and I heard this would heal my health conditions and would heal the world. And when I saw, I knew that this was the running water that I saw as a 12-year-old. And so, she's embraced it incredibly to help spread it across the world. So, these are the kind of reactions that we see from people. It's truly profound. And yes, there are a lot of people whose ears have cotton wool in them. I have two sisters who have significant health issues. They're like me, got a few years under their belt, and I expect they will never use this product.
I remember some talk about using MMS, chlorine dioxide, and citric acid or hydro something acid. Can you review this, and why should someone use them together?
No, I see, they use chlorine oxide. Now, that's not a problem, but there is no need to do it, because what happens is when nano triggers the body to produce something called a gene called MPO, myeloperoxidase gene. That gene produces the same hypochlorous acid, which is the chlorine dioxide in the body. So it's far more effective than taking it. That's what I meant.
It will replace healthcare because of profit presented properly, and it is a no-brainer for corporations. And
Absolutely, it's a no-brainer, but I think we have some people that are blocking, they have their own vested interest to keep their jobs. I mean, I'll tell you the story. In 2012, maybe 2012, I gave a presentation to one of the corporations. And I know because one of my vice president friends of mine is a vice president of the corporation. Very big, international corporation, pharmaceutical. After I finished the presentation, at that time I had much less information than what I have now. The president of the company told them, how many of you want to pursue this? Because if we do, there will be only one seat across me. So everybody voted against it. So, there are a lot of vested interests here. I'll tell you something interesting, which is in 2008, before I started this project, in India, we are full of astrologers, and the guy went to my friend, is a very good guy, and I said, what do you think of this business? Should I do it? Well, he said, you're looking for one result, you will get a million times the result. But remember one thing, he said, don't ever promote the product, because the product will promote itself. And by 2022, it'll be, he said, it'll spread at the baseline and then just rise like a volcano. This is what he told me in 2008. So I see that little trend happening.
With Parkinson's, can you address how that works specifically with Parkinson's?
Yeah, see, this Parkinson's, if you look up FDA website, the key is a cytokine called TNF-alpha. So all the drugs for Parkinson's are TNF-alpha inhibitors, Our product is a TNF-alpha inhibitor. So
adjust itself to the situation or condition that it's working with in the body.
Absolutely. Whatever the problem, it shines light to the body's innate immunity, adaptive immunity. It says, guys, this is the problem. This is the lesson number 22 I gave you. You passed it in the third semester. Redo this. That's what it is. Because we have not failed with any patient for anything. It always seems to figure out what is wrong with you. This is the best part about it. See, I will tell you, I had, in the back of my spine, a lipoma which has been there for God knows how long. It never went. And suddenly in the last 1 month, I can't find it. So it wasn't important to it, but it decided, okay, it's 10 years now, I give him a break, get rid of this guy. So it's cleansing everything in the body one by one. This was the guy last on the list. To you, you don't like it, but you want it to go away tomorrow. It's not going to do that. It's going to do what it decides to do. It's very different.
We have been convinced that dis-ease in the body is disease. It's just an expression of dis-ease, of a less than optimally functioning human system. That's all it is. Parkinson's, type 1, type 2 diabetes, thyroid issues, it's all the same. All just examples of the body not functioning optimally. And when you put body, it triggers it to function optimally. You can call that less than optimal condition any name that we've been persuaded to give it. It doesn't matter. And this is a key thing that people need to get. And it's not instant for most people.
Our great deal of appreciation and your diligence with staying true to the principles that you live by, Richard, and also Dr. Raghu, in that it comes forward in your communications. And it also comes forward in the marvelous product that you have.
Thank you, Rex.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.